Thanks for joining us. I'm Anita Bath. Reaction is growing across Canada and around the world in the wake of explosive allegations that India arranged the killing of a BC Sikh man. The diplomatic rift is widening. Tonight, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is doubling down, and India is denying any involvement in Hardeep Singh Nijjar's death. But as CBC's Marina von Stackelberg explains, Canadian allies are calling for a thorough investigation.
The Prime Minister says Canada will make sure those responsible for the murder of a Sikh Canadian will be held to account.
India, the government of India, needs to take this matter with the utmost seriousness. We are doing that. We are not looking to provoke or escalate. We are simply laying out the facts as we understand them.
Trudeau says intelligence officials have credible evidence linking agents of the Indian government to the murder of Canadian citizen Hardeep Singh Nijjar. He was shot to death outside this Surrey Gurdwara in June. Nijjar was an outspoken critic of India's government and supported an independent Sikh state.
Hardeep Singh Nijjar had publicly mentioned the threat to his life for months.
National Muslim and Sikh organizations say they are not surprised the killing is being linked to India's government. They say it was only a matter of time before something like this happened on Canadian soil.
And there are a number of Canadian Sikhs that have been identified as having a threat to their life, and we are asking for the government of Canada to provide protection for these Sikhs in Canada.
I mean, in Canada, if you cannot have an opinion about another foreign government without having to worry about walking outside and worrying is there going to be a foreign agent that's going to gun you down in the streets, what's going on?
India's government denies any involvement in the shooting. The NDP want the public inquiry into foreign interference to investigate India's actions in Canada's affairs.
Given these allegations, there's no doubt now that India should be included in the public inquiry and that any and all forms of interference need to be investigated thoroughly.
Canada's allies are calling for a thorough investigation with the Indian government's full cooperation. Still, the United Kingdom and the United States both said today they will continue trade talks with India despite Canada's allegations. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, some members of the Sikh community here in BC say they're concerned for their safety, worried what happened to Nijjar could happen again. As Lindsay Duncombe reports, they are calling for immediate action.
For those who knew Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who shared in his activism, fear they could be targeted too.
Do you feel scared?
Yeah, I mean, we do, actually. Yes, we do.
Why?
You know, we face many threats,
Nijjar was known around the world for his support for an independent Sikh state, a movement India sees as extremist. To that country, he was a terrorist. To his community, a hero, now a martyr. Nijjar was gunned down outside his Gurdwara in June. Violence CSIS had reportedly warned him about. In the 3 months since his killing, Sikh separatists say the RCMP has been in touch.
According to them, they are doing their best. That's what they told the activists, that, they are trying to protect us.
Still, this is a community rattled by rumors.
Everyone has heard that they're being here, the spies are here all over the Surrey, especially, and there is still some of the Sikhs are still not safe here.
Canada's Sikh community is the largest outside of India, and there are calls for Canadian law enforcement to do more.
People should not have to be worried about getting shot when they're walking out of a place of worship in Canada.
Politicians are promising to protect communities.
But we need to keep people safe in British Columbia.
And until we, look
but they may not be able to, warns this former law enforcement leader and security consultant. He says legal barriers keep agencies from sharing information, making Canada an easy target.
I honestly don't see things changing, and I actually only see them getting worse because we're getting more well-known, for being, the soft underbelly of Western democracies.
Vancouver police say they have increased police presence around the Indian consulate downtown. Another sign divisions rooted so far away, building for so long, are causing very real security concerns here in Canada. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
And in India, Ottawa's accusations are getting a lot of attention, with Indian officials calling the allegations absurd. Our Salima Shivji is in Mumbai and has the local reaction there.
Now expelling a senior Canadian diplomat.
As the news broke Tuesday morning, India's news media shifted into gear. The government's reaction was swift and stern. Canada's High Commissioner was summoned and told that one of his senior diplomats was being kicked out of the country. India's message to Canada, the allegations our government was involved in the killing of a Sikh leader in BC, are absurd. Stop giving space to the Khalistani movement for an independent Sikh nation and stop interfering in our internal affairs. With security tighter than ever around Canada's High Commission in New Delhi, some protesters elsewhere in the country loudly denounced Canada's Prime Minister. The streets of Mumbai were quieter than usual on a Hindu holiday, but not the opinions. I'm angry, this man says, that Canada's Prime Minister thinks of political posturing at home instead of his relationship with India. Others say the allegations are weak.
There's a direct impact of it, and I think these need to be more well researched before actually going and saying such things on the public forum.
Easiest thing for a person is to accuse somebody. The toughest part is to find a solution. I think Mr. Trudeau should have tried and found a solution out of it. He should have investigated, and then if he could prove that India is behind it, that is the time when he should have issued a statement. He issued a statement just in thin air.
Next year in Canada.
For many Indian analysts, it was a shocking move verging on political faux pas.
Canada and India are not adversaries, they are friends. And why bring that relationship under increasing strain? Making an allegation at this stage was not just unusual, but imprudent in my view.
After the G20 laid bare just how tense relations are between the two leaders, says this counter-terrorism expert.
You do not accuse another country of assassination until you have moved from credible allegations to credible evidence. It has been an extremely immature, extremely irresponsible statement and action thereafter.
Salima Shivji, CBC News, Mumbai.
This is just the latest concern of foreign interference in Canadian affairs. A former officer with the Canadian Security Intelligence Service says agencies don't have all the tools they need to investigate these kinds of matters.
One of the problems that exists is that we do not have a clear definition of what foreign interference is about. We've seen that problem, and many witnesses about the Chinese foreign interference testified about the lack of legal framework for the authority to be capable to investigate adequately and being capable to prevent that form of interference coming from India. So in that perspective, we definitely need to define the law so the law enforcement can have the right tools to interfere and to stop foreign interference and even prosecute foreign interference. In terms of trying to protect the community itself, we need the community also to come out and to express some of the concern that they have and to share information. One of the great problems with the investigation in that particular community is that fear is omnipresent. And the authority and people have not been capable to speak out sufficiently with the authority with the expectation that something will be done. And unfortunately, since the RCMP mainly has only the criminal code to work with, it's not sufficient. It's not been good enough at this point. CSIS, let's remind ourselves, has no power of arrest, has no police power at all, will not proceed with any arrest or prosecution. Worse, wants to avoid as much as possible to go to court. And that's another problem that we have to resolve within our intelligence and security community. The fact that CSIS is avoiding by all costs to go to court. And we all remember the fiasco that took place with Air India trial.
Okay, let's dive a little deeper now on how the allegations will impact our local communities. I'm joined live by Indira Prost, professor of sociology at Langara College. You know, BC is home to one of the largest Sikh populations outside of India. What sort of concern is there around fallout on the local diaspora with these allegations?
Well, I think the fact that the Prime Minister made a direct allegation regarding the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar with the Indian government is deeply disconcerting. And what it does, it has echoed the sentiments that some Sikh activists have had for several years. So safety is a very paramount focus. It resonates deeply. And I think questions are about what could have been done to prevent this death. We're hearing now more and more stories about how individuals were warned beforehand. So this is troubling, and I think that does require a lot of work and building trust again with the community to ensure that there is safety. But I think the big question is, what impact is this going to have on the activism of Sikhs for Khalistan in the future? And I think it's important to understand that the movement for Khalistan was an effect of grievances against Sikhs as well as their identity. If it's proven that there was a direct link between the Indian government and the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, that could lead to Sikh youth embracing Khalistan even more in the context of that particular activism being an effect of continued silencing and tactics that are taking place on Canadian soil to prevent them from speaking.
And, we haven't seen any changes to travel advisories or anything like that because of the allegations, but both Canada and India have expelled diplomats since yesterday in what most are calling a tit for tat. We're getting into the months now where people here do start to travel to Punjab for the winter and the spring. How much caution do you think that people need to be taking here, if any, in terms of their planning?
I do think that that this is not to be underestimated in its effect. And for example, often stories have been told about assassinations that one would assume would only happen outside of Canada. So this is a hard reality that is hit. So it could very well lead to some families reconsidering their safety and also preventing their children from being active or publicly commemorating at events or publicly speaking, just for the sake of security. Other families may want to not provide any investment in India, economic investment by traveling to India, but I haven't heard that yet. It's still very early. And I think we still have to hear how true these allegations are based on evidence.
Indira Pras is a professor of sociology at Langer College, joining us live tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.